I thought, with Sue Bird coming in, at least this is someone that has been positive on Caitlin at times. And I think the issue with Sue Bird, though, is she has her hand kind of in so many things. And with her podcast, where she tries to advocate for the players, but she's also an owner in the league. And now she's got the Team USA thing, and she's got all these connections and relationships she has to maintain. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to someone that went to UConn and someone that did not go to UConn, the UConn Mafia is going to stick together until proven up.
In the world of women's basketball, few names spark recognition, admiration, and all like Caitlin Clark. She isn't just a player. She's a phenomenon, a brand, and a driving force behind the sport's explosive growth in recent years. From her record-shattering college days to dominating headlines in the WNBA, Caitlin's number 22 has become synonymous with excellence, vision, and sheer competitive fire. It's more than just digits on a jersey. It's her identity, a symbol of everything she has built and achieved. But now, in what can only be described as one of the most bewildering decisions in modern sports, Team USA Basketball has taken a step that has stunned fans and analysts alike. They are reportedly insisting that Caitlin Clark abandon the iconic number 22 in favor of number 17.
Number 17 at Team USA training camp on December 24th. News broke that Caitlin Clark will be taking a part in the training, which that's what we talked about at the beginning of the video. Now, this right here this came out this came out on the 24th. So these are the numbers, man. Let's head on over to Twitter and check this out real quick. So this is what was released right here. It says Lauren Betts. Hold on. Here's the ages. Where's the number? Here we go. Right here. So these are the numbers. Caitlin Clark. Let me blow this all the way up, man. I want to blow this all the way up so y'all can see this. So as y'all can see there, man, how did Caitlin Clark number will be changed? So who's wearing 22? Or if you guys remember, Michael Jordan wore number 45 in the Olympics. Could Caitlin, because it don't look like no one's wearing number 22. It don't look like no one's wearing number 22.
A number with zero personal significance, zero history, and zero emotional connection. To anyone watching, this move seems incomprehensible. How could a governing body strip a superstar of her symbol of identity, especially when it is freely available and belongs to no one else? At the center of this unfolding drama is none other than Sue Bird, the legendary icon of women's basketball. Bird, who now serves as Team USA's managing director, has long been an advocate for players, a voice of reason, and a respected figure in the sport. But even she finds herself caught in the whirlwind of what insiders describe as a self-inflicted disaster. Between juggling her ownership interests, media commitments, and now the increasingly complicated politics of the national program, Bird is scrambling to manage a crisis that shouldn't exist. The timing couldn't be worse. Team USA's highly anticipated December training camp in North Carolina was meant to be a celebration, a showcase of talent, and a gathering of rising stars alongside established superstars. Instead, it has become the backdrop for a dispute that threatens to overshadow everything else. Fans across social media are exploding, debates are heating up, and the narrative is shifting. The question everyone is asking is simple yet profound. Why would an organization take its most recognizable asset, a global superstar, and place her in a position where her legacy and identity are seemingly being questioned? For Caitlin Clark, the number 22 is far more than a mere jersey number. It is the thread that weaves together her entire basketball journey, from a determined 5-year-old learning the game in her backyard, to a college superstar breaking records that seemed untouchable, to a global icon whose presence has transformed the perception of women's basketball. It embodies her brand, her legacy, and her competitive spirit. To ask her to abandon, it is not just a request. It is a challenge to everything she stands for. According to multiple credible reports, Caitlin has drawn an unwavering line in the sand. If she is forced to wear a different number, she will walk away. It's a position that leaves no room for compromise. And why should she compromise? She has already earned her place at the pinnacle of the sport. Her name alone brings in millions of viewers, new fans, and sponsorship opportunities that elevate not only her personal brand, but the entire league. She doesn't need Team USA to validate her career. She has already proven her worth on every stage imaginable. Yet, despite all of this, the national program has chosen to insist on a change, creating a situation that has sent shockwaves through the sports world. The decision is baffling in its simplicity. Number 22 is available, unclaimed, and historically hers. There is no conflict to resolve, no logistical hurdle to overcome. The only plausible explanation is an attempt at control, a symbolic gesture meant to remind even the biggest stars that they are ultimately beholden to the organization. This isn't just about personal pride. For Caitlin, the stakes are enormous. Changing her number risks diluting her identity, undermining her brand, and sending a signal to fans and athletes alike that even the most dominant figures in women's basketball are dispensable. Across social media, fans have erupted in support, seeing her stance as a powerful act of self-respect and defiance against a system that has long undervalued its female athletes. Meanwhile, Team USA and Sue Bird are scrambling. What was supposed to be a seamless preparation for the training camp has now become a high-stakes chess match. Every move is scrutinized, every decision analyzed, and the pressure to resolve the issue intensifies by the hour. Caitlin holds the cards, and for the first time, the institution that once dictated terms is confronted with a player who refuses to bend, who refuses to compromise her identity, even for the honor of representing her country. On the other side of this storm stands Team USA, a program renowned for dominance, precision, and a legacy of excellence in women's basketball. Yet, in the midst of this number dispute, the organization looks anything but in control. The decision to ask Caitlin Clark to give up her iconic 22 has sparked a crisis that no one anticipated, and the ripple effects are being felt at every level. Fans, media, and players alike are watching closely, questioning leadership decisions that, on the surface, seem to defy logic. At the heart of this chaos is Sue Bird, a legend whose career on the court is as storied as it is inspiring. Now in her role as Team USA's managing director, Bird is confronted with an impossible task: contain a PR nightmare while preserving the program's integrity, all without alienating the sport's most influential player. Sources close to the situation describe her response as erratic, shifting between frustration, panic, and a desperate search for solutions that could prevent irreparable damage. Every conversation, every negotiation is a delicate balance, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The dilemma highlights a larger structural issue within Team USA. Decisions that might once have seemed routine, roster management, number assignments, team hierarchy, are now magnified under the lens of modern sports culture. Caitlin Clark is not just another player. She is a global brand, a ratings magnet, and a cultural force whose presence significantly impacts the program's reach and revenue. For an organization used to setting the rules, her refusal to comply is a paradigm shift. Suddenly, the player is in control, and the institution must navigate around her stance with care. Complicating matters further is timing. The December training camp, designed as a celebration of both veteran stars and emerging talent, has transformed into the epicenter of a controversy that threatens to overshadow every positive story. The roster, officially listing Caitlin as wearing number 17, is evidence of a choice that some insiders call needless and self-inflicted. The optics are damaging. The most recognizable player in women's basketball is publicly forced to compromise, while the leadership scrambles to maintain credibility. This isn't just about a jersey number, it's about respect, recognition, and power. Sue Bird and Team USA must confront the uncomfortable truth. Caitlin Clark holds the leverage, and every misstep could have long-term repercussions, not just for this training camp, but for the organization's reputation, influence, and standing in the sport globally. In short, Team USA is facing a moment that tests leadership, decision-making, and the very heart of what it means to manage elite talent in today's era of athlete empowerment. The moment news broke that Caitlin Clark was being asked to relinquish her iconic number 22, social media erupted. Fans, commentators, and even fellow athletes voiced a collective sense of disbelief and outrage. Across platforms, the sentiment was clear. This wasn't just a number, it was an attack on a player's identity and achievements. Tweets, posts, and viral videos flooded in, each emphasizing the absurdity of forcing a global superstar to compromise something so central to her personal brand. The outrage wasn't limited to casual observers. Analysts and sports journalists called it one of the most baffling missteps in recent women's basketball history. The debate quickly evolved into a larger conversation about the systemic undervaluing of female athletes. For decades, women in sports have fought for recognition, fair compensation, and respect. Caitlyn's situation embodies every frustration players have voiced over the years. Fans saw it as more than a number dispute. They interpreted it as a reflection of how institutions often underestimate the influence and agency of women in professional sports. Her refusal to give in became a symbol of empowerment, demonstrating that no athlete, regardless of fame or skill, should be forced to compromise their identity for bureaucratic control. This controversy also highlighted the generational shift in sports culture. Athletes like Caitlin Clark wield unprecedented influence through social media, personal branding, and global visibility. Unlike past eras, stars now hold the power to challenge authority, dictate terms, and protect their legacies. The power dynamics are shifting, and organizations accustomed to unquestioned control are discovering that compliance is no longer guaranteed. Caitlyn's stand sends a clear message. Respect is earned through recognition and collaboration, not through enforced compliance. Meanwhile, Team USA's public perception took an immediate hit. Where they once projected dominance and precision, now the conversation revolves around mismanagement, tone-deaf decision-making, and public humiliation of their biggest asset. The controversy forced the entire sports community to ask hard questions. How can elite organizations evolve in an era where athletes are no longer passive participants? How should leaders balance tradition with the modern realities of player influence? In short, Caitlyn's defiance transcends basketball. It is a cultural moment, a rallying point for athlete empowerment, and a stark reminder that sports institutions must adapt or risk alienating the very stars that drive their success. Fans aren't just cheering for Caitlyn. They are witnessing the future of sports leadership, accountability, and respect in real time. For Team USA, the Caitlin Clark number controversy isn't just a temporary embarrassment. It's a crisis with far-reaching consequences. The organization, long revered as the pinnacle of women's basketball excellence, now faces scrutiny that threatens its credibility, reputation, and ability to maintain influence in the sport. Every decision made in the wake of this dispute will be dissected, analyzed, and judged not only by fans, but by players, sponsors, and the broader basketball community. The stakes have never been higher. Sue Bird, as the public face of this crisis, embodies the tension perfectly. Once a celebrated player whose leadership was unquestioned, she now navigates a labyrinth of competing interests: the administration's rules, player expectations, public opinion, and the pressures of media scrutiny. Her role as managing director has suddenly expanded from overseeing a team's development to crisis management on a national scale. Every misstep could exacerbate the fallout, and every decision is a delicate balancing act between appeasing the organization and respecting the power of its top athlete. The organizational consequences are not hypothetical. Caitlin Clark is the single most recognizable figure in women's basketball, a player whose name alone drives millions of fans to watch games, increases sponsorship opportunities, and elevates media visibility. Losing her, or even alienating her, would result in a massive blow to the sport, potentially undoing years of growth. It's a loss that goes beyond the number 22. It's a loss of cultural relevance, financial impact, and fan trust. This standoff also exposes a larger structural challenge in women's professional sports. Institutions accustomed to unilateral authority are being forced to reckon with a new reality. Superstar athletes now possess the leverage to challenge traditions, dictate terms, and protect their brand identities. This shift is more than symbolic. It represents a seismic change in the power dynamics of sports. Organizations that fail to adapt risk being left behind in an era where player empowerment, personal branding, and public perception are central to success. For fans and commentators, the scenario is a masterclass in what happens when leadership underestimates the influence of its players. Caitlin Clark's refusal to comply is not mere defiance. It is a calculated assertion of her worth and her rights. Team USA now stands at a crossroads. Either they acknowledge the misstep and adjust course, demonstrating respect for their star, or they risk a long-term erosion of authority, reputation, and cultural influence in women's basketball. In sports, certain numbers become inseparable from the athletes who wear them. Michael Jordan's 23, Wayne Gretzky's 99, and Serena Williams' dominance on the court are instantly recognized by fans around the globe. These numbers are more than symbols. They are extensions of the athlete's identity, a visual shorthand for greatness, perseverance, and impact. Caitlin Clark's number 22 has reached the same level of recognition in women's basketball. To ask her to give it up is akin to asking a legend to rewrite history. Clark's number 22 is more than just a digit. It's the mark of her extraordinary career. It represents record-breaking scoring, impossible assists, and a basketball IQ that has left defenders and fans alike in awe. It signifies her journey from a small-town prodigy to a global phenomenon, inspiring countless young athletes along the way. Every fan who watches her play associates her brilliance with that number. It is the heart of her personal brand, a symbol that embodies her identity both on and off the court. Historically, athletes of similar stature would never have been forced into such a choice. Imagine the uproar if Michael Jordan had been asked to switch numbers during his prime, or if Wayne Gretzky had been told that 99 no longer belonged to him. These iconic numbers are sacred, inseparable from the athlete's legacies. Caitlin Clark now occupies that same space in women's basketball. Her number 22 is not just important to her. It is an integral part of the sports cultural landscape. This controversy illuminates a broader lesson. Organizations must understand the intangible value of athletes' personal brands. Numbers, identities, and legacies cannot simply be reassigned without consequences. In this case, Team USA's insistence on number 17 disregards not only the historical context of sports legends, but also the modern reality of athlete influence, social media presence, and brand power. Caitlin's refusal is therefore both logical and necessary. By standing firm, Clark is setting a precedent. She is asserting that players, particularly those at the top of their game, cannot be undervalued or forced to compromise their identity for institutional control. The reverberations of this stand will be felt far beyond a single training camp, signaling a new era where respect, recognition, and legacy are paramount. As the dust settles on the number 22 controversy, Caitlin Clark stands at a critical crossroads. The decision she makes now will resonate far beyond the confines of a single training camp or a single organization. It will shape her legacy, define her influence, and send a powerful message to athletes across all sports. The stakes couldn't be higher. One path is compliance. Caitlin could yield to Team USA's demand, adopt the new number, and participate in the training camp. While this would maintain her presence in the national program and allow her to showcase her talents alongside other top-tier athletes, it comes at a cost. It risks diluting her identity, undermining the cultural significance of her number, and potentially signaling to fans and fellow athletes that even the sport's brightest stars are subject to institutional control. For a player who has spent years building a brand synonymous with excellence and empowerment, the personal and symbolic sacrifice could be significant. The alternative path is defiance. Caitlin could refuse to compromise, stand firm, and potentially forego the training camp entirely. This choice carries enormous risk, but it also carries unmatched potential for long-term reward. By asserting control over her identity, she reinforces her value, commands respect, and solidifies her role as a pioneer for athlete empowerment. The repercussions for Team USA would be immediate. Losing their most recognizable star, diminishing media exposure, and facing public criticism for failing to respect the influence and brand of their top player. Yet, this stance also sends a clear message to the sports world. No player regardless of fame or status, should be forced to compromise their identity. This standoff has already ignited conversations about the evolving dynamics between athletes and organizations. Superstars like Caitlin Clark now wield unprecedented power through social media, personal branding, and fan engagement to challenge traditional authority and demand recognition. What was once an unquestioned hierarchy has shifted dramatically. Leadership must now adapt, negotiate, and respect the autonomy of athletes who are not only participants but global icons. Ultimately, the choice Caitlin makes will be remembered as more than a personal decision. It will be a defining moment in women's sports history. Whether she chooses compromise or courage, the world is watching, and the outcome will shape the future of athlete empowerment, organizational accountability, and the recognition of legacy in professional sports. In this high-stakes drama, Caitlin Clark holds all the cards, and her next move could very well rewrite the rules of the game. The Caitlin Clark number 22 controversy is more than a dispute over digits on a jersey. It is a defining moment in sports culture, a clash between legacy and authority, and a case study in the evolving dynamics of athlete empowerment. What began as a seemingly minor administrative decision has transformed into a global conversation about respect, identity, and the power athletes hold in today's world. Caitlin Clark's unwavering stance has resonated far beyond basketball courts. Fans across the globe see in her defiance a reflection of every athlete who has ever been undervalued or dismissed. Her insistence on retaining number 22 is not stubbornness. It is an assertion of self-worth, a refusal to let institutional bureaucracy diminish a career built on talent, perseverance, and impact. She is showing the world that legacy is not negotiable, and influence must be respected. Every record, every highlight, and every fan inspired by her journey is symbolically tied to that number. For Team USA, the situation is both a wake-up call and a cautionary tale. The organization has been forced to confront a simple truth. No system, no matter how prestigious or historic, can thrive while disregarding the identity and influence of its players. Sue Bird's scramble to manage the fallout reflects the immense pressure organizations face when tradition clashes with modern athlete autonomy. Leadership decisions now carry not just operational consequences, but cultural ones, with public perception and fan engagement on the line. The implications of this standoff extend far beyond one training camp. Caitlin Clark is setting a precedent that athletes, especially women in professional sports, can hold institutions accountable. She is demonstrating that cultural influence, personal branding, and respect for one's legacy are non-negotiable. The reverberations of her stand will influence negotiations, team policies, and athlete empowerment strategies for years to come. Ultimately, this story is about more than a jersey number. It is about courage, identity, and the evolution of sports leadership. Caitlin Clark is rewriting the rules, reminding everyone that greatness is not measured solely by statistics, awards, or participation. It is measured by the ability to stand firm, protect one's legacy, and inspire others in the process. The number 22 has become a symbol not just of Clark's career, but of a new era in women's sports, an era where players hold power, demand respect, and shape the future of the game. As fans, commentators, and fellow athletes watch this drama unfold, one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark is more than a player. She is a movement, and the world of women's basketball will never be the same.